You are holding the most expensive spice on earth. Tiny threads of deep red, each one plucked by hand from a purple flower. You probably know saffron costs more than gold by weight. But the real reason behind that price is far stranger than you imagine. Saffron does not come from a normal plant. Every single saffron crocus on this planet is an identical clone. The original plant was a genetic freak, a mutant so broken it cannot reproduce on its own. It cannot make a single seed. Without human hands, it would vanish from the earth. You have never seen a wild saffron flower. A wild saffron flower does not exist. It never has. The spice in your kitchen is the product of a biological dead end, a sterile accident kept alive for thousands of years. To understand why, you have to look inside the cells of the plant. Inside every living cell is a nucleus packed with chromosomes. Most plants and animals have two sets of chromosomes, one set from each parent. That is how sexual reproduction works. The chromosomes pair up and swap DNA. The seed is the beginning of a new genetic mix. But the saffron crocus is different. It has three sets of chromosomes, a condition called triploidy. Imagine a recipe that requires exactly 2 eggs, but you have 3. The whole cooking process falls apart. That is what happens inside the saffron crocus during reproduction. The chromosomes cannot pair up evenly. The cellular machinery gets confused. Pollen grains form malformed. The plant becomes sterile, cannot complete the dance that leads to a seed. A researcher named Maria Grilli-Caiola spent decades studying saffron reproduction. She found that the pollen is almost entirely non-viable. The ovules are abnormal too. Sexual reproduction is a broken pathway in this species. So how did such a plant ever come into existence? It was a 1 in a billion accident. A chance cross between 2 wild crocus species, most likely Crocus cartwrightianus, a wildflower native to Greece, and another related species. The hybrid offspring received 3 sets of chromosomes instead of 2. In a strange twist of fate, that freak plant did not die. It survived. Triploid organisms usually struggle. But this one grew. And it bloomed. And it produced those striking red threads. The threads are the stigmas. They are the female parts meant to catch pollen. But in this mutant, the stigmas are far larger and more vibrant than normal. That overdevelopment is likely a side effect of the genetic imbalance, and it became the plant's only lifeline. Because while the plant cannot make seeds, it can make copies of itself underground. It produces a swollen stem called a corm. The corm sprouts new shoots. Those shoots are clones, exact genetic duplicates. Every new saffron plant is a piece of the original broken mutant. But there is a catch. Left to itself, the cloning process is slow. Over a few years, the corm divides, but the new corms remain crowded. They compete for nutrients. The patch eventually languishes. Without intervention, a wild clone colony would shrink and disappear. The plant cannot spread. It cannot adapt to changing seasons. It is stuck. And this is where you enter the story. Or rather, your ancestors did. Sometime between 3,000 and 4,000 years ago, someone in the Aegean region noticed these strange purple flowers. They collected the red threads. They realized they could dry them and use them. The scent was intoxicating. The taste was like captured sunlight. The pigment dyed their clothes royal yellow. And they also noticed something crucial. If they dug up the corms and separated them, the plant thrived. So they started doing exactly that, year after year, century after century. On the Greek island of Santorini, a 3600-year-old fresco buried in volcanic ash shows women plucking saffron flowers. The scene is almost modern. But those women were already tending a domesticated clone, a plant that could not exist without them. The clone traveled. With traders and conquerors, the corms moved east to Persia, west to Rome, south to Egypt. The Phoenicians carried them on their ships. The Arabs spread them across North Africa into Spain. The Crusaders brought them back to Europe. Every grower was unknowingly handling an identical genetic package. By the fall of the Roman Empire, saffron was worth its weight in gold, not just as a spice. It was a medicine, a dye, a perfume. Cleopatra bathed in saffron. Alexander the Great used it on his wounds. Buddhist monks dyed their robes with it. But the plant remained utterly dependent on the human hand. It could be traded, stolen, treasured. But it could never be freed. Today, saffron is still the world's most expensive spice. A single kilogram can cost up to $10,000. The threads you buy are most likely from Iran. It produces over 90% of global saffron. You can also find it from Kashmir, Spain, or Morocco. Yet a DNA test of a flower from any of these places and a flower from ancient Crete would be identical. Not similar. Identical. A 2022 genome study by Jingwen Tan and her colleagues at the Chinese Academy of Sciences revealed that all saffron crocuses share the same genetic code, with almost no variation. Every plant is a time capsule from the Bronze Age. Think about how fragile that is. A single disease targeting this exact genetic profile could sweep through the world's saffron fields with almost no resistance. There is no hidden diversity to fall back on. No wild relatives can breed with it. No seed bank can restart it. It is a monoculture of a single individual, stretched across millions of corms, and diseases are already gnawing at the edges. A fungus called Fusarium causes corm rot. It turns the precious corms into brown mush. In Kashmir, farmers have watched whole fields die in a season. Climate change tightens the pressure. Warmer winters confuse the flowering. Erratic rains drown the corms. The plant cannot evolve to meet these challenges. It cannot shuffle its DNA. It is frozen in its moment of creation, a mutant from a world that no longer exists. And yet you still buy saffron. You still add a pinch to a paella or a risotto. You still pay more for that tiny jar than for any other spice. Why? Because your ancestors did not just save a plant, they became part of its biology. You are the pollinator. You are the seed disperser. Your hands are the only way this plant can have a future. The deepest reason saffron is expensive is not just that it takes 75,000 flowers to make a pound. It is that every single one of those flowers is an echo of a single flower that bloomed on a hillside in the ancient world, a flower that should have been a dead end, a flower that by all rules of biology should not exist. The next time you open your spice cabinet, hold a thread of saffron between your fingers. Look at its deep red tendrils. You are holding a piece of a broken plant, a genetic ghost, an accident that nature discarded. But you, and a million hands before you, refuse to let it go. Maybe that is the strangest part. The most luxurious spice in the world is a beggar. It cannot survive without you. In a way, its fragility is what makes it precious. You are not paying for a spice. You are paying for 3,000 years of human devotion to a single mutant flower that forgot how to survive on its own. And the scent that rises from the threads is the scent of that devotion. A little piece of Bronze Age sunshine, captured. Forever fragile, forever dependent, forever worth more than gold. If you enjoyed this video, please subscribe to our channel. A new story every week.